What's going on, you guys? TBR here, back yet again with another King of Fighters Allstar video. And happy Monday to all of you out there. I hope you all enjoyed your weekends. In today's video, we are going to be doing the first in a series of videos this week, taking a look at the top 5 FES characters in the King of Fighters Allstar for PVE content, and ranking them in a tier list fashion here on the channel. We're going to be taking one color per day, starting with purple in today's video. But before we get into all of that and more, if you guys are new here to the channel and you enjoy daily King of Fighters All-Star content such as this, make sure you smash that like button and subscribe. Now, for those of you who have been with the channel for any considerable amount of time, you may remember that several months ago we did do a series of videos just like this where we took each color element and broke down the top 5 FES in our opinion from each pool, and it has been several months as I mentioned, so that list is very outdated now with all these new characters that have been released. So this week we are going to endeavor to update that list. However, there are a few disclaimers I want to get out of the way before we get into it. Now, first and foremost, this tier list is going to be based on my opinion and my analysis of these characters over the months. I have been playing this game since day one and never missed a day of logging in, and as you guys can see, I do have almost every single character in the game from each one of these color pools, and at a fairly considerable awakening level. However, I did feel like it was worth mentioning that this is all going to be based on my opinion, so keep that in mind. It's alright if yours differs. You can let me know in the comments section down below which one of these characters you feel like deserves the ranking, and maybe even give me your top 5 in the comments section. Now, the next thing I want to go ahead and point out about this series is going to be the fact that most of the characters that you're going to see called for in this top 5 are going to be limited characters, whether they are collaboration or limited banner characters. In the interest of making sure that this is as accurate as possible, I am not going to be exempting them. If you guys are looking for a free-to-play guide, you can go ahead and take a look at the series of videos that I did breaking down the Unified Banner Fest characters, color by color, and that link will be in the description for each one of those videos for each one of those color pools. But with all of that being said, you guys, let's go ahead and get into this video, and we're going to be starting with purple, and let's get into number 5. And coming in at number 5 and kicking off the list, we have Angel of Paradise Neotengu. Now, the reason why Neotengu finds herself in this position is going to be because she has a very good leadership ability that is going to carry your balance type characters, most importantly in things such as balance weeks of time attack. Now, for those of you who are unfamiliar with Neotengu, she is going to have a leadership ability that is going to increase your balance type fighters' attack by 30%, their HP by 15%, but most importantly, she instantly recharges 5% of power upon defeating an enemy. So basically what that means is whenever your characters in time attack for your balance weeks and you're using her are defeating mobs, they are going to be charging their power really fast, which means that they are going to be able to fire off more finishers, which in turn means that they're going to be able to stop the clock just that much better. Before this character existed, balance type fighters found themselves in a really weird position without a really solid leader, and she definitely filled that role in a huge way. However, that isn't to say that that is all she's good for, because if you take a look at her kit, she is going to have a really nice little kit here that also includes blackout. So this is also going to mean that this character is going to be very solid for things such as expert difficulty against Omega Rugal, or anywhere that you are going to find darkness called for. But then when you take a look at her overall kit, she is going to have damage immunity, she's going to have some nice increases to her overall damage output, and in general, Neotengu isn't trying to do anything too crazy. This isn't a character that you're going to find yourself using in a ton of different use case scenarios. But if you do need a character to help you in balance weeks of time attack, which is of the utmost importance for those free-to-play rubies, or you just need a really solid mobber in general, then you could do little better than Neotengu. She is going to be a character that is going to get you through quite a bit of content. However, do keep in mind that she does lack some of the hallmarks that you would look for a character that is going to have a ton of usefulness across a bunch of different modes, but that's the reason why she finds herself at number 5. So, in the end, when it comes to the number 5 position, it tends to be the toughest one to decide on, but in the case of Neotengu, I felt she was deserving, so let's move on to number 4. And coming in at the number 4 position, we have SS Iori Yagami. Now, the reason why Iori is in at the number 4 position is going to be because Iori is going to be a super solid character in general for PvE content. Now, whereas Neotengu before him was a character that had more niche uses, Iori opens things up and shows himself to be a wonderful character for a lot of different content in this game. So he is going to be a purple balance type, which really isn't anything to speak of, but he does boast some fantastic tags, meaning he fits into a bunch of different teams very well, with a wonderful leadership ability that increases your special signature fighter's attack by 50% and their power charge rate by 15%. This is a leadership ability that, as it sits right now, is extremely powerful. As we've always mentioned, you look for leaders that buff not only your attack but also your power charge rate, and this character does have a leadership ability that's pretty much future-proof at this point, because as we all are aware, Netmarble is going to continue to release more and more of these characters, so it's going to be a situation where this will only get better with time. Now, on his actual kit, Iori does have everything that you would look for from a SS character. He's going to have that 20% chance to reset his cooldowns when using a skill. He has Blackout, which is very important because darkness is called for in some very specific instances, as we've already mentioned. He's going to have Hyper Armor with an Interrupt, and in general, Iori is a character that, unfortunately, due to the fact that he did release with a banner mate that ended up proving to be for a very long time the best overall damage dealer and best overall PvE character in the entire game, he was overlooked in a big way. And that isn't to say that this character is necessarily one of the top limited banner characters in the game, because he isn't by any stretch of the imagination, but he is definitely a more solid character than some would lead you to believe. So in at number 4 is SS Iori Yagami. And coming in at number 3, we have SS Athena. Now, SS Athena is going to be the oldest limited banner character to make this list today. However, that isn't to say that she is not going to be without her merits, because still to this day, SS Athena finds herself being extremely useful for people that have her. Now, as you guys will see, she is a purple defensive type, which really isn't called for much, but her leadership ability that increases purple element fighters' attack by 45% and their power charge rate by 20% is wonderful, as we've already established. And then when we take a look at the kit, she is going to have radiant damage on her kit, as well as another source of starlight that we'll talk about momentarily. And in general, when it comes to SS Athena, she is a super solid dot dealer. This is a character that typically you're going to find people using in things such as lunatic difficulty against Omega Rugal and Guild Raid, because she has that radiant application, but also because she can deal starlight damage on her core finisher, which does admittedly come up less often, but still worth mentioning. And then if you take a look at her overall cores, she does have that 70% chance to reset the cooldown of Psycho Ball attack upon landing Phoenix Arrow. She's also going to have that core where she gains super armor for 4 seconds when attacked by an enemy in Starlight. And in general, this character also has a really long 3PG finisher that is going to be able to go ahead and interrupt those different guild raid bosses. So in general, while she is a character that isn't going to output as much damage as some of these top tier characters, she is still deserving of this spot and a wonderful overall Starlight user. Coming in at the number 2 position, we have Boss Syndrome Original Zero. Now, Boss Syndrome Original Zero is a character that would have been number 1 on this list had this list been made even as early as 2 weeks ago. However, with the character that we're going to talk about at the number 1 position being released in the past couple of weeks, he has been usurped in a big way, but let's focus on him for now. When it comes to Boss Syndrome Original Zero, he is going to be a purple attack type, meaning he is going to be outputting an immense amount of damage as a Boss Syndrome attack type character. He has some wonderful tags, meaning he'll slot into a ton of different teams very easily, and his leadership ability increases purple element fighters' attack by 50% and their power charge rate by 15%, which is a wonderful overall leadership ability. Then when you take a look at his overall skills, when it comes to Zero's kit, he is going to have mixed dot, he's going to be able to apply bloodshed, but he's also going to, more importantly, be able to deal venom damage. And venom is very important, especially for things such as expert difficulty against Nightmare Geese in Guild Raid. That is somewhere where this character excels, and in general, this character has all the hallmarks that you would look for from a solid PvE character. He has a wonderful leadership ability, great tags, a ton of overall damage output. He's going to have mixed dots. He's going to have a long 3PG finisher. He's also going to boast that dome shield on his cores, which at this point is one of the most broken mechanics in the entire game. He's also going to have active skill cooldown resets, and in general, this is a character that is just solidly built and is one of the best characters for the boss syndrome fighters in the game at this point. He does lack a little bit of the versatility that some of the top boss syndrome fighters are going to have, but even then, this character is just insane, and if you have him, you already know he is going to carry you through a ton of content in the King of Fighters All-Star. And finally, coming in at number 1, we have Boss Syndrome Leona Hydern. So Boss Syndrome Leona, I'm not going to lie to you guys, and I'm not going to sugarcoat anything, is the best character in all of the King of Fighters All-Star, and there's a lot of reasons why. First and foremost, Boss Syndrome Leona is going to have a leadership ability that increases Boss Syndrome fighters' attack by 45% and their power charge rate by 20%, with a fantastic list of tags. She is a purple defense type, which is going to mean that she isn't necessarily going to have the greatest typing in the world, but that is a small nitpick for a character that really, honestly, you guys, has very few gaps in her game. For those of you who are unaware and want a more in-depth look into this character besides the 2-minute clip that you're getting here, you can check out my spotlight video on this character I did just as early as last week, and we break her down completely. But in general, the TLDR with Boss Syndrome Leona is she is the highest damage ceiling character in the entire game. She can ignore rules and things such as Guild Raid, meaning that you can take her in and solo one key every single difficulty of both of the currently available boss fighters for Guild Raid. And in general, this character is just absolutely insane. When you take a look at her kit, this is a character that does have that interrupt when she's airborne. She has hyper armor. She has dots on her kit in the form of burn, where she is going to be in a glutted pool of burn characters, but even then sets herself apart as being the best burn character in the game, which is a big feat when you consider the fact that some of the other top tier burn characters in the game include characters such as SS Kyo. So that tells you right there how strong this character is. She is also going to have that burn explosion on her core finisher, as well as having a nice long 3PG finisher. She's also going to have that dome shield, which we've spoken about already. So in general, everything that you could possibly want from a character you find with Boss Syndrome Leona. You have the top DPS output in the game. You have one of the best mobbers in the game. As a result of the DPS, she's one of the best bossing characters in the game. And in general, if you need a future-proof character, this is the way to go. She is the meta at this point in PvE. Well, there you have it, you guys, the top 5 characters for the purple element in all of the King of Fighters All-Star for PvE content. So I'm pretty set with this list. I'm pretty happy with the way it turned out as far as where I've ranked everybody, but you guys can let me know in the comments section down below if you have a specific character or characters that weren't featured here that you find yourselves using in a lot of this different content. The only character that I would really throw in here at the end as an honorable mention is a character that I was admittedly a little back and forth on with that number 5 position, but at the same time, I'm happy I went with Neotengu. But that character is going to be Phantom Invader Maxima. This is a character that is super solid for PvE. He's specifically going to be very good for things such as time attack. So this is a character that is worth mentioning, and is a character that, if you like Maxima, would be someone you would get some use out of if you wanted to build him up. I just decided to go with Original Zero for my Phantom characters when it comes to the memories I'm picking up, so I haven't used him as much, but he is worth the honorable mention here because I do feel like Phantom Invader Maxima is a super solid PvE character. It's just that I feel like these other 5 are going to be more versatile or more useful or just flat out better. So in the end, you guys, that is my list in my opinion. As I mentioned, this is all just my opinion, so you can let me know yours in the comments section down below. Hey, even give me your top 5. We can all just give our lists and kind of compare notes. But until then, you guys, I'll see you all in the next video. Smash that like button and subscribe, and you all take care. Peace.
Continue. Game over.